Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Good morning, I guess, for the West Coast, and then good afternoon for those that are joining us from the East Coast. I'm Jerry Cardinale, Director of Sales for Active Wellness. Joining me is Bill McBride, CEO, Master of all plans and strategies. Thank you for being the frontiersman for this. This is our first time that we've ever done a Sales for Success on audio, video. So you guys get to be a part of that, which we're really excited to have you be a part of this process. We've limited the invitation to a smaller group. So we're looking for your input towards the end of the training that we're going to go through. Obviously, we're going to go through a lot of the sales practices of the TI process, the greeting, the experience level, how to enroll, how to support with services, having action plans so that you can better set yourself up and be successful throughout your your career with us. And then obviously we'll throw in some marketing and some branding ideas as for you as well. So before we get too far into it, I'll let Bill introduce himself, and then I'll tell you a little bit more about myself.
Great, thanks, Jerry. Appreciate that. Bill McBride, co-founder, president, and CEO of Active Wellness. Very pleased to be here with you today. Very excited about the training program that Jerry Cardinale is going to lead for us. Jerry's the Active Wellness leader of all things sales with regard to membership in our managed sites as well as the sites that are commercially owned. And so I think this is going to be an informative session for you. I'm very proud that we're able to bring this to you and that we have Jerry here today to do that. The philosophy of sales within the organization is you have to look at this thing as a two-sided coin, and you can't have sales without great service. You can't sell something that's not a great product. So the teams out there in the field that deliver every single day for our members and our clients, that gives us the foundation of what we're trying to do with member acquisition, personal training, sales, program sales, etc. So when we're talking about sales, we're not talking transactions. We're talking relationships backed by a great product to introduce people to the lifestyle. And I'm very excited about the approach that we take, and I'm very excited about what Jerry's going to deliver for us. Thank you for being a part of Active Wellness. And thank you for being with us during this training.
Thank you. So a little bit about myself for some of you that maybe I haven't talked to personally on a one-on-one. I know a lot of the times that we communicate via email. I'm on a lot of your sales calls, text messages, and so forth. So just a little bit of background for me for you to better know who I am as your support is, so I've been in sales industry for probably more years than I really want to mention, but about 20 plus. I started in radio and television, on air in radio for about 15 years, where you're always having to sell yourself because you always got to show your ratings. And then 2 years as a traffic anchor for NBC. I then went into the fitness industry full-heartedly as an A+ auditor, which is more aligned with our OSE efforts that we do. And then I went back into the field, became an operations manager, and then from operations went into a general manager. And then that's how I started with my career. And then I came into Club One as a salesperson. From there, I went to corporate sales director, dealing with all of our new corporate partners that we bring on, especially for our commercial clubs here on the West Coast. And then just recently in January, I got to take on the great role of being the director of sales nationally for everyone, which I'm really loving. If you guys know me, the biggest thing is that I love to see people excel individually. I love to see teams come together as a whole. I don't like when people talk about teams as siloed. Oh, that's the sales department, that's the fitness department. We're all a team, and each one of us are very intricate in how we sell and support each other. There's never one low man on the totem pole in any department, from the person that's doing the housekeeping all the way up to the GM and so forth. So I really like that. I love being collaborative, which you guys know when tossing around ideas. I really believe there's not one way to sell. There's a formula, but there's never one way to sell, and you always have to mirror that person. We'll get into that today. And speaking of how to sell anything, as you can see on the slides as we go through this, the biggest thing, obviously, when you're meeting someone who's coming in, and you've seen them all. As soon as they come into your clubs, they've already got walls up. There's no trust. They're just thinking you're going to sell them something as opposed to really listening to them and hear them. So when there is a process for selling anything, you really want to establish trust. You don't have a lot of time to do that. They're usually there. They're like, just show me, show me, show me. So we've all been around. The biggest thing is how you get trust is you got to listen. And the biggest thing, as we know, is you have to listen 80% of the time. And the more that you listen, the more that you allow them to talk, the more that you're transparent in what you're offering, the more they're going to share with you. And as we know with membership, it is a need, but it's an emotional purchase. People are coming through the doors because they know they have a goal, whether they want to admit to it verbally, they have it mentally. The biggest thing that they're afraid of is the commitment level. So if you don't establish trust and listen to them and be transparent, they're going to put up walls and it becomes just the sell. And I think that the biggest thing is that you really have to know your audience. So know that person comes through. You've got the scared person that's like, oh, I've never worked out before. Sometimes you have, usually my experience is like if you get like a lawyer, they're used to everybody chasing them and them calling the shots. So they want you to chase after them. It's learning how to mirror that so that they come back around and you're actually selling them, but they think that they are selling you. So again, really know your audience, know the different people. When you're doing a TI, when someone calls, and I've learned this in radio, when you do a call, the biggest thing is you need to stand and you need to smile. The biggest thing is people don't realize they don't smile when they're on the phone. When you do smile, if you're just talking like, hello, thank you for coming, or you're saying, hello, thanks for calling, I'm going to be your biggest supporter, be your advocate, whatever, it sounds more exciting. The person gets engaged faster, and it just sounds that you're way more optimistic and really excited about inviting these people to the party, and they want to be a part of this new group. And our clubs, we always talk about community, but what is community? Community is how you set it up. It's every individual in our clubs making sure that community experience is throughout, and that's why Smiles is so big. You don't want to sell ice in the Himalayas, as we say. We want to sell to what their needs are. They already know what they have. They need to know how we're going to make that experience a lot better. And then obviously there's the follow-up. And this is a big thing that we're going on. And if you guys have been on my calls and know with my emails, my biggest thing is follow-up is not just for the sale. It's follow-up for the sale, for the trial pass, for the actual appointment, the enrollment, but it's also the member retention piece. We always forget as a salesperson, quote unquote, that, oh, we've already done the sale, why we got to call the member? Well, we have to because there's so many things. One, we want to engage the member that we just signed up because we want them to know that we're always their advocate from point of the first visit to the end of whatever that is, and hopefully it's never. But we want to be able to make sure that we get referrals from them. By just giving a quick call to see how they're doing, you might be able to inform them about programs that are in your clubs. And again, the longer that we keep a member, the goals don't get so crazy, as we know. So there's always a rhyme and reason for everything that we do. But the member retention piece, which we'll get into a little later, is super, super important. And I want you to make sure that it is part of your processes. If it's something that you really haven't been able to engage in and figure out why, then definitely email, text me, and we'll figure out a plan, and we'll go over this again and how it's going to actually reward you as a salesperson in the future. Anything you want to add on that?
No,
Okay.
I think that covers it very well. Jerry, I do want to ask you one thing. You started with Club One how many years ago?
So I started Club, I think it's been about 8 years ago.
And so you were here with Active Wellness when we started.
When we transitioned, yeah.
Active Sports Club to Active Wellness. You were here from the very beginning, right?
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah.
No, I think that was a great summary.
Thank you. And it was, in the reason, and this is the other thing that I always want to add that I never get to share, so I really want to take this forum just to kind of go backwards a little bit. Speaking about, so when I was in the industry, I was working for obviously a different company in the fitness industry, and I always heard about Club One when it came into town. They were the big guys, and because the fact that they were doing something different than any of the other clubs in our areas, and what it was the experience and the customer service and the amenity offers. Where I was in a box club, yeah, it was 60,000 square feet, it had everything, but the company I was really didn't hone in on the experience for the employee, for the member, for the guest. They didn't support. I really wanted to be a part of it. I took a tour. I shopped the clubs as we all have to shop our competitors, and I fell in love with it. And I was really excited when the opportunity. And I tried a couple times, but the opportunity was never there. And I finally got to come in, and I've never regretted it. It's been such a fantastic journey from going from Club One even into the transition of Active Wellness. We've always stayed true to really supporting our employees, and that's why we have so many long-term employees with us. So they sold me, I guess you could say. And again, it was all about the experience, just even taking that tour. So talking about we'll skip some slides too. We're going to go to the enrolling part, and enrolling. There's a difference. There's a difference between an enrollment and a sale. So enrollment, making sure the other person gets what they want, and they choose to enroll versus being sold something that you want to sell them. So I always put it that if I go into Gap, I know that individual probably is told by their manager, I need to have you sell 20 of these black shirts. they don't care why I need the shirt. They just need to sell it. So when I go in, I sell it. They say goodbye after they ask me for cash credit in a bag, and that's it. Our enrollment process is an experience. It's from start to finish. Why are you coming in? Why are we going to support you? We are going to be your solution. We have all these different things that can support you through the life of your journey, because when you come in, maybe you need A, B, and C, but maybe 6 months down the line, you're going to need D, F, G, whatever. And so the enrollment process is really listening to them, selling them, and making sure that they know they have a support from start to finish. Completely different when you go into retail, where it's just I buy, I leave. I don't know. I don't have any engagement with that sales rep. I just got what I wanted and then left. But maybe not what I needed, because they don't listen to you when you walk in. So I think that's the biggest comparison, and that's something you guys have to really think about. I always tell people, the membership reps, don't think of yourself as a salesperson. Always think of yourself as an account executive. And if you know what account executive is, they are at the needs of their clients all the time, regardless of what it is. Is it a pass? Is it an inquiry? Is it a follow-up? Is it informing them of a new program? Is it enrolling them firsthand, because we never want to send them to somebody else to do? We want to take care of them. So that entire enrollment process is an experience, is what I like to say. So the sales trait characteristics that we all should have, and I know that all of you do because I've talked to you. Compassionate, we have to have our fitness knowledge, background, and passion, so we really need to know what we offer in the clubs, and each of you have something different, but it's really good to know what we offer and how we support. Another good thing too is, even when you're with a actual prospect, is you never want to refer to, oh, this group X person. You want to say, oh, Rick or Sally is great in the conditioning. You're going to love them. Everybody that goes to this is how they usually do their class. I think this is in line with what you shared with me, because obviously you'll get in that needs analysis part. So you always want to talk to people as an individual and not a department. But you have to know what they do and how they sell it, whether it's a group F class, whether it's a trainer, whether it's a group Pilates reformer, even your massage therapist. How do they do their massages if you are lucky to have one of them in your clubs? You have to be a great listener. So that's a lot of things. I know sales, we love to talk. I'm Italian, so I love to talk a lot. So the biggest thing is we got to stop and we have to listen. Again, just like we talked about earlier, listening to the client, really understanding what their needs are. They're going to share what they think that they need. We're going to listen and then turn it around and then show what they actually need and want. So, and that's a little different trait, because I come in, I think I just need treadmill and weights because I have a 20-pound weight loss. I don't. I might need all these other different things. And how am I supposed to get there? We have that same client that comes into our club all the time that jumps on, he or she will jump on the treadmill. They'll do 20 minutes there. They go to the weights. They lift, this X, Y, and Z, and then they shower and go home. They never go outside of that because they don't know what to do. And so we want to make sure that when we listen, we're going to show them how to do it, how to get there faster, quicker, and safer, and then have fun doing it. That's why you're in the club. The club, regardless of what the goal, should never be a work task. It should be a fun task, someplace you can just release everything. At the end of the day, you're going to go home and just feel so much better. Obviously, you have to have a calm personality, mirror the person that you're talking with. Some people are very excited, some people are very monotone. So you really want to mirror that, but keep calm. And again, with the listening part of it. Have that competitive team mindset and goal orientation, as we all should have. Balance with the team. Optimistically resilient, energetic. And then, of course, like we talked about before, you got to smile. People love a smile. Be warm and likable. And if you're not one of those three, if you're not all three of those in the sales position, this is probably not the right position. So I know that's what you guys are all. Because every time I talk to you, even when you guys have some angst, you're still smiling about things. You joke about stuff. That's your likability, and I love that. So on the coaching, we have the goals, training, motivation, relationship building, and the performance, and then we'll have some feedback a little later too on some things that I want to talk about. The ideal enrollment process. So this is important, is again, formula. It doesn't always match what we need, but this is kind of the formula that we have, especially for some of you that are brand new to this, to our sales industry, which we've got a few of you guys online right now too. So the ideal enrollment process is you have the TI call, and then you have to enter all this stuff into your InTouch or whatever your trackables are. You get the appointment set, which is super important. You have the show so that you can actually do the tour and sell them. When they do come in, it's the needs analysis. You're going to tour to what they want to come in to see. You're going to show them how to check in. It starts subliminally making them feel like they're already a member. The presentation of the membership. Again, when you present, it's an either or. It's not a yes or no. A lot of us get into the yes or no. Did you want this? No. You want this? No. Don't get it's. So I've got these ones. I think it's A or B, and we all have that. Some of us have it in a month-to-month and 12-month program. Some of us have it as a month-to-month program, but maybe we have the option because they want a discount. So we have the prepaid option that you would be able to sell first. If they're looking for the discount, they say no. Say totally understand. We have this, so let's get you started with this. So there's still, even if you don't have a 12-month or month, there's always an A or B that you can present at a time. Then you have the enrollment process, the additional service presentation, which you should be doing through the entire part of your tour. If you're trying to sell them on a $95 membership and then you wait to the end to say, so did you want to do another $800 in training? No, I just spent an hour and I thought you sold me on membership. But if you're planting those seeds and really talking about why they're there and their goals, it's going to be easier to sell them to their interests, whether it's personal training, Pilates Reformer, TRX, or whatever that special programming you have in your club. So make sure that you keep that in mind as you're doing those tours. If you haven't, start making sure that you're putting that into it. And then also finding one of your colleagues and having them do some mock tours with you so that they can identify some areas that are really strong and maybe some areas that you forgot. We all get very centered into our normal tours. And you'll go in and I'll talk to that guy and be like, oh, I'm on the best tour. And I'm like, well, you lazy Susan'd it. You pointed it out because they got used to it. They stopped listening. So you always want to be on guard. You always want to do mock ones. You always want to throw out a different couple scenarios so that so when you're doing the tour, you can adapt to it and see how you adapt, because every individual is coming in with something different. It's never the same thing. Then you're going to talk about the orientation and assessment, which is our fitness assessments that you definitely want to get everybody introduced in. The fitness assessment should never be, would you like this? I'm going to say no. Again, we want to stay away from the yeses and nos. So you really want to say, Mr. and Mrs. blah, 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 I'm really excited to get you started. Like we discussed during the tour, we're all about our support processes. I know that you had some goals. I really want to set you up with our fitness assessment that's going to really hone in on what you're doing and see if we can't tweak it a little bit and make you a little bit more educated and get those goals faster. Again, we know that when we do this, it is a support tool, but it's also another introduction to another department, and it's another chance for another revenue. And again, if we have them purchase something, we know they're going to stay long term. But again, if you start that process at the end, you're going to kill yourself. So make sure that you're doing it throughout the entire part of your tour, because you're listening to their needs and you're giving them the solution. Okay. Again, a lot of people think if I take a pill, I'm going to lose weight. It's not going to happen. If there was a magic pill, we'd all do it. There's going to be some work at it, but we really don't know how to formulate it because we're really not as educated as we think when we go into a club. Because again, everybody thinks it's treadmill weights. When you are enrolling someone, you really want to already prescribe, always be in the prescribe. So you want to have that recommended program. If you know that maybe they're still fighting you on the fitness or whatever, you still want to say, hey, I know that you're going to be in on at 12 o'clock on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I know you had this goal. I would really like you to maybe change it up where if you're going to be doing cardio that day, I'd love to recommend doing Alex's kickboxing class, followed up by Sally's conditioning class on Thursday, and then doing like a recovery day with this yoga class at the end, since you mentioned that you had some issues with some flexibility. I'd like to have you do that. What I'll do is I'll follow up with you in a week and then see what classes you took and see how that's going, and then and maybe I can recommend some other things as we move along throughout your life of your membership. That to me sounds supportive. The member's going to buy into it. And then that again is opening up an opportunity for you maybe to upsell another program and get them more invested. The biggest thing too is that everybody that you meet needs to go into your trackable CRMs. Just because they don't buy at that point of sale doesn't mean that, we don't put it in because Jerry might see that my sales or conversions is not really that great. I've been doing it a long time. I know how we've had stats, so don't do it. It's really a benefit, even for the person that misses. It gives us an opportunity to discuss and figure out where we missed and how we might be able to overcome it. It also allows for our marketing to be able to figure out who's coming in so that we can still reach out to them. When you do those lead sources that brought them in, it's also going to show marketing where the marketing dollar needs to be more spent. So it's a real bonus all the way around. It's not just about you and missing the sale and you're like, oh, I don't want someone to talk to me about it. I know that salespeople, we always want to be 100%, and God bless if you can, I'd love it. But there's always something that we need to work on. And so when you do miss that sale, I look at it as an opportunity to have an open dialogue and figure out what did we not do through the tour? What could we have done? And sometimes it just comes down to we just weren't ready because we weren't engaged. Once you enroll the person, you always want to send that thank you letter. You want to do it handwritten. And then mail it out. It's a really nice, important piece to do. I know that when I get some handwritten letter from someone maybe I just met one time, I'm like, wow, they remembered me. That was really great. And when you do the handwritten, don't just be like, thanks for joining. Put in there like, thanks for joining, being part of our new community, and sharing X, Y, and Z with me through your tour. I'm really excited to be able to support you and see you in the club next. And then always insert your business card. Okay, that's another thing, guys. If you don't have your business cards on hand at all times, change that habit. You never know when you're going to have to do an elevator pitch. If you're out into the, if you're at a Starbucks, who knows when you need to give that card to it. If you are stuck in an elevator with someone, you've only got 30 seconds. That's when you want to definitely give your card. And you've only got, as we all know, as salespeople, our attentiveness is about 15 seconds sometimes, depending if you guys even read. So you really want to have that honed in and know how you're going to engage them and get them incorporated into what you're actually selling and offering. Okay. Anything on add on that? Because I know you love the elevator pitches.
No, I think you're covering a lot of the critical components.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the listening piece. You can't help somebody with a solution unless you know what you're trying to solve for. I think you're dead on,
mm-hmm.
Jerry, with how you're surmising everything. On the telephone inquiry, getting that information where you're enthusiastic,
mm-hmm.
and they can hear your smile.
Yeah.
But no, I think you're right on track.
Thank you. And that's the other thing too, you guys. Going back onto the selling piece, you can be spot on in your club, but if you don't know what your competition's doing, that's another thing. I need you guys to get out and shop that. Even if you've shopped it when you first started with us, but now maybe you've been with us for a few years and you haven't been out to those clubs since, you just kind of know of them by people's discussions with you. Really go out and see what the competitor is doing. So we just had a brand new rep that just joined us. So part of his homework is to go out and shop 3 different types of clubs that are around his club particular. So one is a studio model, one is a big box, another one is kind of a big box copy. His experience, in which we're talking about, again, every time that we have somebody and we have that, even the TI process has to be experienced. He called this studio. They didn't ask any information. They didn't ask his name. They didn't ask for any follow-up information. Just said, come in. Asked if he was going to take a class when he came in. Said, I didn't know. Say, okay, so then we'll see you when you come in. Went in there. They weren't even engaged. They basically did this is our place. So did the Lazy Susan. And then when it comes to pricing, it says we don't get pricing until you take a class, which is crazy. So the experience level is way down. You want me to be a part of this community and this ongoing thing, but you basically ask this person, when I asked them, would you go in? No, from just the phone call. So from just the phone call to even the walk-in, they drop the ball every single time. And this is a very popular studio. So they are probably getting a little lazy in their process, which is great for us. But there's something to know. That's because when you have people come in, usually they have shopped somebody else. Our clientele is a little bit more educated. They do a little shopping around, more so than maybe the 20-year-old. They really want to know if they're going to invest in something. They want to know what they're investing in. So it's really good to know what the experience is like from the TI process to the in-club experience, and then obviously what the club offers too. Is it dirty? Is it crazy traffic? When you went in there, I'm making this individual go during those prime times, so that we never want to talk bad about the competitor, but we want to empathize with the experience with the person who comes in. So we know exactly what they've been through, and then how we're going to make them different and show how we are different. That we do listen. We do want to show you things. Yes, we do have big box stuff, but this is how we're going to support you even further. We're not going to just point and tell. We're going to get on there. We're going to show you. We're going to make sure that you have follow-up. We're going to make sure that we're touching you every month to make sure that you're still engaged. and be that sounding board for someone if you have a new idea. What's this new class? We really need to be knowledgeable. So again, get out there and see your competitors. If you haven't been for a while, it's a really good way to do so. If you have some new trainers that are coming on board, make sure that you go through their fitness assessment so that you can speak to how they do things. Again, there's a formula, but everybody brings in their own personality. So you want to speak to that. And that goes even with Pilates Reformer, yoga classes. Some of us don't do those. Maybe we don't really care for that type of a class. You still need to do it to experience, because the person who loves it, you need to love it too. You need to understand why they love it. So maybe you don't do it, but you understand the love that they had and passion for it. So you really want to speak to it and say, hey, when you come into this class, what other classes have you been doing? That also tells you if they've been a member of club or currently with club. But then you want to find out what they really love about a class, and then how our instructor is going to mirror that and then accelerate. So, but if you don't know the person, you really just can talk about it from a bio standard.
Yeah, Jerry, that's a great point. When I sold memberships, one of the things that was critical in my learning was it could be my 100th tour of the month or quarter. It's that prospect's first tour. And, a lot of our competitors treat people as transactions. If you treat everybody like your best friend and help them get to the right answer and realize that this is their first experience with us, even though it's rote and, we've done it so many times, but being present for each one of those interactions. I really like that. And the way you said, the analogy, same as in training, right? Tell, show, do, right? So it's the same thing that you just described, right? Tell them what we're going to do, tell them what we're about, show them how it solves their problem, and let them feel it and experience it. But I love that approach.
Thank you. Yeah, and the more that you can be tangible, people love to touch, hold, experience. The more that you're going to keep them engaged. The entire process, obviously, when you're doing our tours, is that we're always subliminally already making them feel like they are a member. They're a part of the community. So basically, the membership's not an ask. It's just a here you go. Let's get you started because you're so excited about this. This is just the paperwork to get you through the door. And I think that working with a lot of salespeople, and I've even had that time where I'm like, oh, I just get stuck, is that we get so stuck on the transaction because we didn't do the process in the beginning of engaging them and becoming their advocate and listening and partnering and getting excited with them when you're showing them how you're going to solve these solutions to whatever they came in with, that personal goal, whether it's just a peace of mind. So when you get to the final part where it's at the desk and you're like, so it's this much money. They can feel that, where you don't feel like you are the pro, you don't believe in the value. And if you don't believe in the value, they're not going to believe in the value. So you really need to build this entire process up so when you get to the desk, it's just, hey, we got to get this going so I can get you excited and get you moving over here so we can take care of you. It's just a little thing on the side. So really start thinking about that when you are meeting with people. And again, like you said, it's their first time with us. And it's your first time with them, and you only have a few minutes really to engage someone. Going back to radio, even if you listen on commercials on radio, you have 60 seconds. In 60 seconds, they are going to say a minimum time of that brand 6 to 8 times because they know that you're listening about 15 seconds. If it's a 30-second spot, they're going to mention it probably about 4 to 6 times in 30 seconds because, again, attention span of someone. So you have to think someone's coming into an area they don't know. It's a brand new gym. They're meeting someone for the first time, which is always a little uncomfortable. There's moving parts all over the place. It's overwhelming because our clubs are bigger, and you're trying to spew out things, and they're getting only a couple seconds because you're happy. So you need to calm them down, bring them down, have that one-on-one so they start focusing on what you're saying and you're focused on what they're saying, and then they start moving with you. It's part of that mirror program. So just a little added piece of how everything sales is the same regardless of what industry. It's about slowing down so they can hear it and then repeating the solutions and the brand and how you're supporting them over and over and over again, because just because you said it at the front desk means that they probably forgot it by the time you got back to the fitness area because they're doing this. They're looking loose. So let's start with the telephone query, the most important part, right? You've got 30 seconds. Someone's calling. Usually when they call, what do they want? Just pricing. You're like, hey, how are you doing? I just want pricing. I mean, we've all got that person. So the telephone inquiry is a little bit of a dance, and you guys have your sales manuals too. So this also breaks it down. InTouch also has it there as well. So if you ever forget in a pinch, it's on there for you. But you really want to familiarize yourself with the telephone inquiry. Again, when that comes through, you want to stand up, you want to smile, you want to greet, you want to make sure that your verbal skills don't sound like you got marbles in your mouth. Really be very concise of the greeting so that they hear you. But obviously on the things that we're going to get during that TI process is going to be your name, your phone number, the email, what brought them there, the appointment, the referral to come in with, and then you want to make sure the directions are given. These are all things that you need to do with all the underlining of being attitudinal, of making sure that they're coming to a party. Sometimes it's a little bit of a song and dance because someone's going to try to throw in little things, so you're still trying to get all this information. Just like we were talking about with the salesperson before, they didn't get anything. And so how are you going to follow up? If you get a TI and you don't get any one of these things, you've lost your prospect. You've lost that potential sale. You've lost that chance to actually change someone's life. But you want to make sure that they give you the name, the phone number, the email address. You want to repeat that back to them. You want to let them know that once you get this information, you're trying to set up for an appointment to come in, is that you're going to follow up with them either by phone call or email to confirm the appointment. You're going to follow up with them following the call to make sure that they have an instant contact with you. So you want to say, so the email address you gave me, joesmith@yahoo.com. I'm going to email to you to give you, again, the directions. I know that you're here just in case. It's going to have my personal information on there. And then, of course, if you have any questions between now and the time we meet, feel free to email me. That's also going to let them know that, okay, I got to go. I just gave them the junk mail, so I'm going to go to this to find stuff. It gives you another a contact effort. Now, obviously, we want to do phone calls, but in this stage and age, especially in the Bay Area, a lot of people won't pick up the phone anymore, so we really need that email contact. And that's how marketing does most of our marketing, is through emails campaigns. So if we don't have that, we're losing there as well. Again, the source is always important too, because we want to know what brings them in. That's also going to help with the marketing efforts. Appointment is so important. You really want to confirm, so make sure that you give them either or times during that conversation. Not, do you want to come in on Monday? Through that TI process, you already want to figure out that Monday's the best day for them. So Monday, did you want to come in? You're calling me at 12. Is this the best time that you'll probably be coming in? So would you like to come in at 12 or 2 p.m. On Monday, blah, blah, blah. This way it's yes. There's no. Okay, so it's always just giving them the option to choose A or B that we want. Because if anybody has an option to say no, it's like, no, I just want the pricing. Pricing's nothing. Pricing is, everything's a price. I need to have the experience, so that's why we need to get them in. We don't want to hide it from them. Our people are way too, like we said, educated on that, so we don't want to hide. We definitely want to be transparent in everything. But I think that through the more information you are willing to give, the more they're actually going to give back to you. I've rarely found someone that's like, nope, that's all I wanted. Usually when I'm like, sure, I'll give this all to you, but what are you looking for? And I try to direct them into a different area of just getting prices. Then they start coming like, oh, well, I want to do the Group X class. Oh, what class are you doing? Oh, I do this and this. Oh, we've got a great class during this time. What time did you normally work out? Then it becomes about what they're really wanting and not that price. But I will give it to them if they come back again. But I'm going to still try to deflect a couple times. Anything different on that?
Yeah, I like the way you framed party. When you talk about a TI, we call it a TI, but it's a telephone inquiry, right? That's what it stands for. When you talk about that, there's two big components that you highlight. The attitudinal part, the enthusiasm, making them want to come in, regardless of how you technically handle the call, but just being
excited,
there for them. Yeah. And then there's the technical skill set of getting those 7 things that you mentioned, But I love the way you call it a fitness party or party.
Yeah.
You want people to feel like they're calling and you're inviting them to a fitness party. That something great's going on here and that they can be a part of it and that you want them to come in. And they will, just like you said, go to price.
Yeah.
And we're transparent about pricing. We share pricing on our website in most scenarios. But when you give price, and if your price is higher than the market average, you have to go back and create value for why that price is justified. So that's why we try to focus in on the goals and the solution before getting into the conversation of pricing. Just like on a tour, we focus on the needs before getting into the price and the membership and the options. So I think you nailed it on those points, and I think it's very valuable. And I also like the fact that you keep bringing up this either or, which Would you like to come in Monday or Tuesday?
Yeah.
Afternoon or evening? 4:30 or 6:30? Would you like A membership or B membership? Like you're making it easy for people to make decisions because people are in an overload, and when you give them too much information, they get paralyzed by it.
And they want to say no.
Yeah.
All the
So I
time.
like the way you approach it with breaking it down and making it easy.
Yeah, and you have to make it. What's the old analogy? It's what was it back in the day? Everybody used KISS. Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
And a lot of people forget about it because we get so much like, oh, we got to throw this in, we got to throw that in. You just got to keep it simple, stupid, and that's what people want. They just want to be like, yes, I just have to do that to do it. Fine, perfect. That's what I want. I don't have to think about it. People are so congested with things that they need to do throughout the day. I've got to be at work by this time. I know that I'm gonna have to leave an hour and a half because it's traffic, and then I got to get there and I got to deal with X, Y, and Z, and then afterwards, then I got the kids' games, and it's like, okay, so if I throw in one more task for you that you can say no to, you're gonna say no. I just want to research. They picked up the phone, which means that they're already halfway there. They do want to come in. If I want to research, I'm going to get online. I'm not really that invested.
I heard somewhere recently, 80% of consumers have made it fundamentally a buying decision before they show up in the store.
They do.
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of know when you go in.
Yeah.
And it's up to the sales associate to show you. You think you might know what you want. But if the sales associate talks to you, you might come out. Maybe you went in for, let's just keep it on a retail thing. You might want to say, I just want that black shirt. I need to go and get that black shirt. But then you talk to a real good sales. They're like, what do you need the black shirt for? What's going on? All of a sudden you leave with socks, belt, all this other stuff. I mean,
Jeans, shoes, the whole bit.
Seriously, I just wanted to pay like a $20 shirt, and then I've got this huge getup that I'm going to look fantastic in, but I probably only wear once. But that's because they slowed me down, kept it simple, stupid, and figured out why I came through the door. Why do I need the black shirt? And then they worked for this whole get up, and they gave me suggestions. That's a good thing. I'm colorblind for one, so I go in a little bit when I go into a retail shop. So if someone does like say, hey, let's help you out with an outfit, and I'm like, perfect. Yes, no, that's horrible. And I know that's what the salesperson is. I will be that guy who would be like, oh, go ahead and sell me. Because I do want to see what the process is, and they will sell me on everything. If they can put a whole thing together, and again, I might just walk in wanting a shirt, and I usually always leave with 5 other items I didn't want or didn't think I wanted, but it looks really well. So anyways, so let's go into, they come in, they have the appointment, real excited, they come in, again, everything's an experience. You guys are ambassadors 100% of the time, not just when you come out and meet the person, not just when you do the call. You're always making sure that your club is running at tip-top shape for the experience. Because the fact of how many times do you go into a front desk and it's like, you're here for who? Here's some paper, fill it out, go over there. Where's over there? We really want to have that experience. Just like we were talking about the rep that just went to the studio, that basically like, oh, you're going to show up, you're going to take a class. I mean, what was the engagement? So if you see your front desk that are not greeting members or guests appropriately, correct them. Work with your GM so that it's something that they know that all eyes are on them. Because this is your member. This is your potential sale, and it is experience. You shouldn't have to have someone have a bad experience and then you're having to play catch up to show that what you do, because then you just become the salesperson. We want it to be the experience from start to finish, and that every department buys in on that. So when that person comes in, your front desk should be, greeting them with a smile, letting them know that they're going to get you, and during that time where they locate you to let them know that the appointment's in. Here's our guest register, which we're all familiar with. Let them know, please have a seat, offering them the clipboard, the pen, let them know where they're going to have the seat, let them know that, sales rep X is going to be with you in just a few moments. Can I get you a water or anything else to make your stay comfortable? Something more along that line where you feel a lot more of the experience. Then when you come out to meet with them, that's when you get to look at this guest register. It's kind of your first glimpse in the window of what they're really in there for. You get some that are like name and a signature, and they're like, that's it. Or there's the one that wants to fill it out 100,000%. Some people look at the one that doesn't sign as like, oh, I struggle. I look at that as a gift, because then I know that as I go through the needs analysis and I really slow them down, I'm going to find out way more about them. The person that just wants to give everything, they really don't know what's going on. They're just like, show me. The other person wants you to work for it a little bit because they do have a lot of walls up. But this means that the more I bring them down, the more engaged they're going to be, and the more I know they're probably going to sell or buy. And I know that a lot of us have issues where we talk about, getting the source, and then we want to go through all the things, the jumpstart, the fitness, energy balance, mind, body, how committed. All these things are really, really important, but try to narrow them down, see what the focus is. We all know we want bells and whistles in our cars, but what really is most important is it the Wi-Fi, is it the other things? We already know we need the car, but what are the other things that we need? And this is a great point for you to not only peer through the window, but then create the scene of how you're going to do it. So once you're doing this needs analysis and figure out why they're in here, what their commitment level's in, what brought them in, is it a referral, so forth. Then when you want to start the tour, you want to start the tour based on what they came in to see. I always say, like, if I went onto a lot to buy a Mercedes, don't show me the like a Saturn. You know, I may want the Saturn at the end of this tour, but I want you to take me first to the Mercedes, because that's what I have in mind. That's what I think I want. It's what I think I know I want. But then basically maybe when I get through there and you're like, well, the Saturn actually has X, Y, and Z, that might actually be more important to me. So so that's why it's always important to say, okay, so during your needs analysis, you're going to figure out what brought them in. You're going to find out what their interest levels are. So let's say, just for example purposes, their hot button is cycle. So what I'm going to say is, Mr. and Mrs. blah, blah, or, obviously I'll say their first name because we'll have a relationship. So Joe or Smith. I know you're really excited about the cycle class. I can't wait to show you. Our cycle classes is going to be upstairs. What I'll do is I'm going to show you that. I'm going to show you where you're going to take these classes. We've got some really great instructors. We'll go over more of what times you're coming in. I'll talk to you more personally about the different instructors and different class styles. So I'm going to start you up there. And from there, I'm going to show you the fitness area, the cardio area, followed by the wet area for our pool, steam room, sauna, and then our locker rooms where you end your day, and where we take care of you from start to finish in there. And so I want to show you these other areas because this is where you'll work out when you're not taking a cycle class, or maybe you can't get to it that day. So I want you to show the other areas that are part of your membership. But first, let's go up to the cycle class and get you started. I'm going to grab a Group X schedule with them so I can circle and start kind of prescribing of when they're going to take these classes, put that in hand to them so they have something to carry. But this tells the person that you've heard them. You're going to take them to the excite buttons, and then you're going to show them the rest of the house. Okay? Because a lot of them think I just want cycle, but there's so much other stuff. And then during that time, after we get them all excited about the cycle and about the different classes, then we're showing them the other areas, and we're dropping in again about how we're going to support them with their solution, which is with our fitness assessment, maybe our getting started kits, different packages. So you really need to start listening to them. If you just go and handshake and say, well, let me show you the club, you already failed right there, in my mind.
Jerry, we have the first question. What does FAP mean?
Fabulous. Good.
Features, advantages, benefits. So
Okay.
when we talk about a tour, the fundamental facts of the tour are called features. The advantages that are generic for all people are the advantages. But you can only get the benefits if you know me, if you've done a proper needs analysis. So the only way to offer up benefits is to really do a proper needs analysis and address my concerns. For example, a treadmill, what is the advantage of a treadmill? It allows you to run with a softer impact. You can train with inclement weather. You're inside. You're not breathing exhaust fumes from vehicles. But what's the benefit of a treadmill? You can only do that if you really know what my goals are. Benefits of the treadmill for me would be weight loss, cardiovascular conditioning, less wear and tear on my joints. The benefits of a treadmill for a quadriplegic are zero. So you really can't talk about benefits unless you really know the person. So I hope that answers that one. Jerry, you make a good point about the intro and the power of language. We call our team that represents us with member acquisition, membership representatives, but really they're brand ambassadors. They represent the entire brand and the entire solution. And we have a guest registration card. Many of our sites call it a welcome card, depending on what you want to do with regard to how you want to present. Some of our sites offer the guest water when they come in because they're hosting them. But the concept is the front desk and the membership department works hand in hand to be hosting this person in our house, making them feel comfortable, and then offering them a solution. And that needs analysis is critical.
It's definitely critical.
And I've always been a firm believer that you have to sit down and do that needs analysis before you go on the tour. Because just like you said, if I take you to things that you're not interested in first, I'm distracted.
Yeah.
And I'm processing different information. So do you agree that we should sit down with the person, do a proper needs analysis, close those windows first, then do the tour?
Yeah, because how are you going to, I mean, sometimes I've been in an experience where someone's walls are so up, they're just like, I just want to see the club.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to move them. Usually when I start moving people, that's when the walls go down because they're not concentrated. It's hard for someone to keep a wall up when they're moving and trying to interact. But the majority of them, it's definitely a sit down, and always have your pen. A lot of these reps don't even have the pens, which drives me crazy. I'm like, bring a pen. You've got to take notes. It shows that you're listening to them. You're writing down those things. But again, if you don't know what they're there for, how are you going to show them the experience? And then you go back to just being the salesperson selling a shirt. You're just selling a membership. You really don't care why they're in there. You're not going to give them an ideal tour. You're not going to show them why they want to be a part of this community. It's just a place they check in and get on a treadmill. So I think that's a huge point. I mean, you still need to mirror your prospect, but I think probably 90% sit down, slow it down, and then really find out what they're there for. It's an emotional purchase. I mean, as we all know, I mean, we know we need it, but when you finally commit that I'm going to give you this money every month because I know I need to be here, is really hard for a lot of people to get to. You know, they think everything, especially this day and age, everything's just buy and have and throw in the closet or whatever. But I think with memberships, it's an emotional experience buy. So you have to empathize and partner with them and really see why this is the place that they want to be at, whether it's to have the excitement or to solve a solution or both. The other thing I want to mention on the tour is that, yes, you want to take them to a point of interest first, but when you're on the tours, always be cognizant too that you, and I see this all the time, is that you don't walk ahead of your prospect. Walk with your prospect. You want to show them that they are part of this. They're a part of the group already. When you walk ahead, it becomes a dog and pony show, and you're just pointing and telling. You're not partnering with them, and you get that disconnect. It's sales is a lot of sales processes are just very subliminal, and that is a very subliminal thing. When I used to work in plastic surgery, when I was a general manager there, I was noticing that when the nurse would come get the client for, they were going to redo their face or get faceless, that when they would come in and have this informal greet and they would call out, like, hey, Joe Smith, and they would get up, it's very scary. So I had them slow down, come in, have paperwork signed with them, is like we would do with the needs analysis. And then what I would do is have them walk with them. They open the door, let them in first, and then walk with them down that scary hall. And we had less people that jumped off and ran away because they would run. But by doing that, you became an advocate subliminally, and then they start trusting the process. So just something you could think about. It's again, a lot of stuff is subliminal. Not everything works, but that's why you always are pivoting and changing and when you're with your client.
Jared, can we go back for just a second
Sure.
to the needs analysis?
Mm-hmm.
You covered it very well, but I want to just highlight.
Sure.
There's two purposes of the needs analysis. One is discovering the needs of the person and building that rapport with that person, building that relationship. And the other is starting to what we call close the windows. We don't want to overcome objections and close somebody on a membership. We want to enroll somebody in a lifestyle and it be a natural progression with the solution. So during the needs analysis, you're trying to get everything that might be an issue uncovered before it becomes a smoke screen or an excuse, right?
Yeah.
So, and there's 6 basic issues that people throw up. Do I have time to do this? Do I have a need to do this? Do I like your facility? Is it convenient? Is it in the right place? Does it have the right things? Is there a spouse or partner or some other person that's affecting my decision? Is there a financial issue, either affordability or do I think it's worth the price? And then the ultimate one, the last one is desire. Is there an emotional connection? So those 6 things are usually what people old school refer to as objections.
Mm-hmm.
But we turn that into, these are windows that we want to flush out because they could have legitimate reasons why they're concerned about buying a membership with us. We want to know what the legitimate reasons are and get rid of the ones that aren't legitimate so we can serve them and help solve. So that needs analysis is uncovering those things. And the welcome card, the guest registration card covers a lot of that foundation to get you started. So typically within 4 to 6 questions in a needs analysis using the card, you can uncover and eliminate and close some of those windows.
That's really good points. And like you said, it's closing windows, but and just to make sure that we communicate this right during that needs, you don't want to do that at the sit down table. You don't want to already start trying to get their objections. You want to kind of open that door. I think the more you already try to close them, the more they're running out the door.
Yeah.
So this is like he's talking about. It's a process through the entire tour. So that again, when you did get down to the final part where they do have the final answer to say no and run out, if you haven't set up this great rapport, you don't really have the right to ask why they don't want to do it. Because you didn't take the time to know who they are. They're going to share with you when they're coming through because you're going to be asking them all these different yes or no questions about the experiences and so forth. Like you said, they might not want to be a part of us because maybe they had a bad experience with another club, got locked into it, they couldn't get out of it, they're afraid to try to do that commitment again because it's going to be the same experience. They had problems with billing, whatever that is. I mean, that's just one example I'm using. But usually if you have to take the time to talk about what they're coming in for and what they're looking for and why they're here, they usually will share that with you. But again, if you wait till the end of the table to do it, then they're just going to go and you have no right to ask them, I think. So best practices, you guys, don't sell me something, solve me something, as we've been talking about. Always make sure that you are prescribing and that during the entire tour you're already acting as if they are a member. You're just showing them where they're going to work out and how we're going to support them. Even if you have to put someone on a trial pass because they didn't sign at that time that you talked to them, you always want to make sure that you're putting that trial pass into your check-in system. You want to let them know that, hey, when you come in, you're going to be greeted by our front desk. They're going to check you in. That already gets them in the system of how they're going to be as a member. Our members check in here. This is what we do. They'll see your profile, questions, and so forth. So again, subliminal, they're already starting to interact with that process. When you get down to the presentation piece again, you always want to make sure that it's A or B, but not yes or no. So make sure that you use the tools that you have. Again, if you have a month-to-month or 12-month, you have a drop. If you have just a month-to-month, then you want to go with your prepaid because there's where your discount is, and then you'll drop down to the regular rates that we have.
To the tour part, when you get to the presentation,
yeah,
I like the way you talk about assume they're already a member.
Mm-hmm.
You want to treat them as if they're already a member so they feel like they fit in it, because they do. We're an all-inclusive facility in all of our locations. So by giving them prospect identity to you fit in here, you belong here, when you're a member, this is what you'll do to make the locker work. When you're a member, this is where you'll go for your cycling class. Because the enrollment is just the next logical step. So when Jerry's talking about the presentation,
Mm-hmm.
it's, basically you've seen all the facilities, you understand what we offer. We'd love to invite you to join. Are you interested in finding out how the memberships work? Yes, I am. Great. So you're getting permission to go to the next step, and you're making sure you handled all the other stuff and got that out of the way, so now you can talk business. So it's just a natural progression.
Yeah, and then if you're already telling them how the process is going to go and make them engage, when you get down to the actual paperwork, it's not going to faze them at all. They're going to be like, okay, and they'll probably still sign where they're talking to you and they're asking questions. I usually see that when they're most engaged. They're already like, I've already decided this from the point that you took me where I was most interested at.
Before they got in.
Or before they got it because they heard about it.
You just didn't blow it.
Especially if it's, seriously, you gave them a great experience, especially if they're a referral. Because we only got a few more minutes in this training, I really want to go over, I think we're pretty good on the tour, but how do we go outside our boxes and start looking for those prospects to come in? It's great we get the web leads. It's great we get the referrals. Very important. That's why the member retention piece is super important too. It's another referral option. But that's great for in-house. But how do we go out and do a grassroots and bring it in? And that's where a lot of us freeze up. And that's why it's really great that if you start doing some open dialogues with team huddles, you're bringing other departments, and there's always ideas. The action plans which we have, they should be to your GMs by the 5th of the month. In all the action plans, there's always a who, what, when, where, and why to every directive that we question. So if you're going to do an outreach, and you're going to put this on your action plan, this is your self-management. This is how you're setting yourself up for the next month or planting the seeds so that the 2 months from now you're going to be real successful with this option. But you really want to have it dialed down. It's going to show me too that you're really engaged. But you want to know like where you're going, who you're talking to, when you're going to talk to this person, what time's the event, what do you need for the event, how are you going to get an ROI from the event. A lot of us think, hey, I'm going to go out to the music festival and I'm going to hand out 5,000 passes. That's fantastic. Enjoy the music. But for me, for marketing, it's great because you handed out branding. But as a salesperson, how am I going to know that it's going to come back to me. That pass could go to another rep, which is great. We still want to support the teams. But again, if you're going to do the work, you want to bring it back to you. So how are you going to go out to these things and bring back a tangible ROI, which is meaning some person's information, first name, last name, email, phone number, or all three, hopefully. And so those are things that I really challenge you with these action plans. Don't think membership is singular either. So we just had some collaboration with a club, which is like, oh, membership. It's like, well, don't put yourself in just that one capsule. So if you've got a nearby apartment residence, partner with that leasing office. They're always looking for something to entice their prospects or keep their residents so that they don't jump ship when the 12-month term comes up. They do get some added budget. So maybe you go to them and you say, hey, I'd love to partner with you. I'd love to be a part of the community. We are part of the community. I'd love to offer you in your welcome packets, maybe a 1 week or 2 week or 1 month, whatever your GM is going to approve, to put into your welcome packet for that new resident. Maybe you go a little further and say, hey, if you have an added budget for some resident reward programs, why don't we set up, you have a beautiful pool, why don't we do a recovery Sunday? They'll pay us, which adds to our ancillary revenue, so that we'll bring out a yoga instructor, and yoga instructor should be in our brand. That's something that they are going to be able to give back to the residents. We now have an ambassador who's going to funnel some more memberships on the backside to us. But again, it's a brand option. We're supporting another department, and most of you all have a commission based on service. And it gives you another way to now be entrenched with an outside organization to funnel you some new things, whether by services or by new membership. So don't always think singular. A lot of us have our Hero Reward Program, which is an added discount for active police, military, and fire. What I used to do as a sales rep is I used to go to the recruiting agencies that were within my club area, and I would talk to those recruiters. A lot of them are recruiting these guys and girls, and those people are mentally ready to serve our country, but maybe they're not physically ready to support our country. So we work on something like how long you're going to have someone there, what do you need to get them for their fitness assessments and so forth. And then we found memberships through that. Sometimes I found it was just only training that they needed. So maybe it was some 10 packs. Either way, it was fine. But again, you have to think outside of just singular membership. So really start thinking about those ideas, really formulating on the action plan. This is going to give you a nice window to your own work process, outside of just what's going to walk through the door and what's going to be funneled through you through web leads and referrals. But really start thinking outside the box. There's never just one way to sell. But if you can't sell something, if you can't partner with someone and figure out what their needs are, again, that's what the members coming through the door, or an outside agency that never even thought about having a gym come and support their residents, and that even goes for, we used to have a club that was in Santana Row, and they did a lot of fashion shows. What I would do is we partner with the talent agents for that, who were shipping models in. A lot of models have to be fit for either the calls that they would send them out to or for the shows, and so we would sell them packages that way. And then I'd get membership for the ones that were maybe local based. So again, there's always a different way. So that outreach that you do, don't look at that as like, oh, what do I do? Really put some thought into it, think outside the box, and really build your business. You guys are sales executives, so you have to think about that. Where's that new money coming in? You can't always say, oh, July's hard. July's hard, so why aren't you prepping for July? That December's hard, so why are you not starting to prep for December in September to start planting that thing so that you're going to get that and you're going to hit that individual goal. You're going to make a commission base, and people that make their commission base and their bonuses are a lot happier. So again, these are just things that I want to plant in your head, and the purposes for the action plans is for us to be able to see, collaborate with you, guide you, and direct you. But it's also a way for you to really start supporting yourselves as individuals. And making yourself more successful inside the club and outside the club. I think you looked at.
No, I think you covered it great. We're always on, and we always should be aware of opportunities. It's not opportunities are those that present themselves. It should be opportunities are everywhere to help people with their health and well-being.
Yes.
And so if you have that open mindset that you're there to help people with their health and well-being, you'll see all kinds of opportunities where that shows up.
Yeah, and that's why you always have to think in the mind of, you're in this business because you are in it because it evokes change, which is so important. And that's why I'm passionate about it. And I hope that's why you're passionate about it too, is because we do evoke change in everything we do. So don't just think membership. There's so many ways to evoke change in someone. Sometimes it's just a spa offer, that where they just can have peace of mind. Especially if you guys work with your HR representatives, you want to talk about stressed out people, talk to any HR person. And so they're always having to figure out a solution for their ER issues. You need to be their solution. And so that's another opportunity where you just call your HR contact. Maybe they're the ones that you want to have start funneling their employees to you. Reward them with something. Again, you want to make sure that with your GMs, it's all approved. Don't go rogue and start doing things on your own and offering out cost of good items. But I don't see any GM that will be like, oh, no, what are you doing? I mean, we'll get more memberships if you do this. They're going to say yes. But you always have to be in the mind of how do you support every individual, whether it be your partner, your membership, your prospect, or even a fellow employee in a different department.
Hey, Jerry, we're
Yes.
running out of time, but there's a couple of questions that have come in, and then if you don't mind reminding the viewers that they can email questions for the next couple of minutes,
Yeah.
just so we don't miss any. One wanted to review the event meeting real quick.
Yes, the event meeting is a mid-month between the 15th and 20th, kind of a reset meeting. If you think about sporting events, think about football, it's halftime, where you take everybody off the field, you go in the locker room and you reevaluate the first half and you come up with a new strategy, a new plan for the second half. So the event meeting is where the whole membership team gets together with the membership manager or the general manager, and everybody puts out publicly how many sales they have. We use InTouch, our customer relationship management software. We all know how many sales we have. We look at how many warm, hot leads we have, and we know the calculations on how many sales we expect to get by the month end based on that lead source. So we add those two numbers up and we have a good idea where we are. If that number's higher than goal, great. If that number's lower than goal, we need a new plan, because if we keep doing what we're doing, we'll get what we got.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an opportunity in that event meeting to reset and say, okay, how do I get off the treadmill and not just go through the motions, but come up with a new strategy on that action plan that Jerry speaks of. How can I go out and get more referrals? Can I do a retention table in the lobby? Can I call all my corporates? Can I call my top 15 members that referred in the past? All those kinds of things to come up with a new plan to create a new outcome. Not just letting the month happen to you, but you making it happen. So that's the event meeting concept.
And don't ever be afraid to pivot. I mean, everybody thinks I got a strategy, and they always just want to stick to it. But like you said, always be ready to pivot. If something's not working, change it. If you are seeing a lot of members and you're missing, it's not the prospects, you. So pivot. So there's something that you're getting a little bit more tunnel focused on. So be able to pivot and welcome that pivot.
The winning edge concept.
Yeah, exactly.
Change 20% of your behaviors and skill sets, and you can get an 80% return.
Mm-hmm. And we're always asking our prospects and members to do it, so it's something we have to stay conscious of. You've been hearing Mike Rucker on the back end. He's off camera, so that's who the voice is on the side that's taking your guys' questions. So if you guys do have some questions, they'll be emailing Mike Rucker directly. Correct, Mike?
Yeah.
So it's mike.rucker@activewellness.com.
And we have one more question, and that's just to review the retention model.
Excellent. Yes, the retention model is basically just like the sales model. Organizations get the results that they've set themselves up by design to get. So if we want to have better retention, we want to map that retention strategy out. And in our mind, retention starts at the point of sale, if not earlier, targeting the right customers that we can help serve. The enrollment process, enrolling them in a lifestyle, not selling them a transaction. We want them to use the club. Our model is based on, predicated on them coming in and using the club, buying ancillary services, getting results, and referring, not just joining and not showing up. So the enrollment process is the first step, in interactive retention after the marketing component. The first 30 days are what we call onboarding, if you will. It's getting them plugged in to the facility, getting them acclimated, getting them comfortable. 31 to 90 days is connection. This is where they form habits. They become part of the cycling group or the yoga group or the swimming group or the aquatic school, what have you. So you have connection after that. Most people with behavioral change fail at some point. Not many people just do the first time cold turkey and changing a behavior. If you think about alcoholics, if you think about food addiction, if you think about smoking, if you think about non-exercise, sedentary lifestyle, most people don't just wake up one day and change the behavior and they're successful. Some do. There's a lot of cases of cold turkey stopping of addictions. but it's not the norm. So we expect our members to fail at some point and drop out of the routine, and we want to be there to catch them. And so at-risk intervention is when somebody's not showing up, we call them, we get them plugged back into the training department or the personal training department. We let them know that we welcome them and want them back and that we care about them and their goals. 60-80% of the people that quit businesses don't quit because something went wrong. They quit because of attitude and indifference by the staff. So we want to have a model where our staff is engaged in making people feel loved and appreciated for being members. So that's the at-risk component. So once you intervene and get them back in the game, the cycle starts over. After that component, you have loyalty. We want to keep people members for life. So how do you reward them? How do you acknowledge them? How do you create brand loyalty on an ongoing basis? So that's Jared. I didn't miss any of the components today.
No.
On that. So that's the general flow. Just like we have the flow in the system with regard to acquisition, we want to retain two sides of the same coin: sales, service.
Mike, is there any other questions on it?
That's all we have.
Okay, and just to go on with the member retention piece, because it's very important. I just want to add just one more thing before we end the training today, is with your CRMs that you're using the clubs, making sure that you're taking adequate notes of your clients, so that when you are doing these member retentions, a lot of you have 500 members you've signed up. You're not going to remember everybody, but if you're able to go back to a note and know why they started, what their new interest in as they evolve in their membership, it's an easier conversation. I hear a lot of people are just like, hi, I'm just calling for you. How you doing? Okay, call me back if you need anything. Click. As opposed to being like, hey, Lucy, I'm checking in with you, seeing how you're doing. I know when I first talked to you, you had this goal. How's that been going? Have you tried this new class that I know you were interested in? It starts the conversation real fast. They are going to pretend that they remember you because they think you remember them. And then they open that dialogue more, as opposed to being like, I don't remember anything and you don't know. Yeah, you don't know who I am and I don't know who you are. And it's a really uncomfortable call on that. So making sure that you start that engagement. And again, it shows that you took notes and you really are engaged and want to support this member that you started their journey with. So anyways, I just wanted to throw that in.
Jerry, before you give us your final comments,
Mm-hmm.
a couple things I just want to highlight. You're hired here because we believe in you. And we believe that you're the type of person that wants to help people. That's what we represent, the active core values. Follow the system. Don't take shortcuts. Treat people as people, not as transactions. Read the entire membership success manual. Answer all the questions. Do the phone shops that Jerry says. Do the action plan. Remember that we're a team and we're all in it together. Don't let petty stuff get in the way. Stay motivated and have fun. There's no better industry than our industry. And if you're like me and Jerry, which you are, you like helping people and you like having fun. So follow the system. Don't shortcut. Invest in yourself with learning. Stay sharp. And I really appreciate you being on the team. Jerry, I'm going to let you close this up.
Yeah, and I want to tag team off of that. I really appreciate having each of you guys on the team. I love interacting with you guys. That's why you guys are here, because you do bring all those different characteristics that you just mentioned, plus so much more. And I really want to thank you for allowing me to be a part of your team and making sure that I'm a part of your journey as well, as we excel you to be even better and better. And I learn from you as you learn from us. And the biggest thing, and that's why I love Active Wellness, is because it's a collaborative department. It's not a directive. Some things are, but mostly it's collaborative. And how do we take something that might be a directive and expand it to make it better? And we can't do that without you trying to be a part of that process and wanting to be. And that's what's going to make the clubs better, yourself better, and then your fellow employees better. So thank you for your time today, for being on this training. I hope you got something from it. I want you to be able to feel free to email me, call me, text me. My personal cell phone number is on my signature of all the emails I send out, so please use it as many times as you want, anytime that you want, because I want to make sure that you're successful and that I'm there to support you 100,000% of the day. So again, thank you for your time, for being a part of this training with Bill and I. Look forward to seeing you in the clubs and seeing your successes.
That's a wrap.
Nicely done, Jared.
Thank you.
That was awesome, dude.